So once you've identified that maybe things are not what they should be, you're not in a state of mental wellness, what do you think makes it difficult to speak out? We often hear of situations where even outside of the workspace, like it gets to the point where someone decides to end their life, or they've got like a breakdown, they cannot function, and it's gone to the extreme because they weren't treated, they didn't seek the help that could have helped them to manage it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who suffer from anxiety, depression, severe levels of stress, but they're able to function. They're able to do their work. Maybe let me not use the word function, but they're able to still carry on and fulfill whatever life responsibilities they have.
Yeah.
So what makes it difficult for those who are not in that kind of situation to speak out?
Yes. I'll use the term that you don't like. Psychological safety. It really is fear. Fear of judgment. But before that, I believe it's actually lack of awareness.
Yeah.
So remember, your whole worldview, your perception about what's happening is completely distorted.
Yeah.
So you probably don't even see that you need help. You don't even see that there's something,
out of balance.
Out of balance. Yes, that's the word. Out of balance. And it's only until something really breaks to a point where you can no longer function that you are, made aware, that you become aware that something is fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
Something is, hugely out of balance, and it's time to seek help.
Yeah.
Often that's the case. Why is that the case? I believe, and this is just a personal opinion, that again, societal norms require us to, excuse my French, have our shit together all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're feeling like you are losing your shit, battling to keep your shit together, you're probably, you're likely to want to push yourself to get your shit together.
To maintain
somehow.
that balance. So you might be juggling more things, but you still put pressure on yourself to be, have it under control, so to speak.
Because you feel
it's not safe to speak out.
Yes.
That's the
you're
expectation.
expected to have your shit together.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's not just a perception. It's a real lived experience.
Yes.
Right? Why? Because of societal conditioning again. Right? That it is not normal to not be okay.
Yeah.
To admit that you're not okay.
Why am I unable to cope with the pressure?
You know what I mean?
But
when the next
everyone
person
else
can.
is. Yeah.
But you're not the next person.
Yeah.
That's the truth. You're not. You're you. And the fact that you are so out of balance, you can no longer function, is your being's way of alerting you that you have pushed yourself beyond a reasonable limit.
Yeah.
You're out of balance. You need to get yourself back in balance. And that often starts with just asking for help.
Yeah.
Just admitting to yourself
that
something's wrong.
Yeah.
Secondly, asking for help. Because once you get to that stage, more often than not, it's very difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very difficult to get yourself right again.
Yeah.
More often than not,
it takes more work to rebuild.
Yes.
Yeah.
You need that support to be able to, well, first and foremost, get out of bed in the morning. And get on with your daily routine. And I don't even mean, important things like getting to work even. It's getting out of bed.
Having a routine.
Taking a shower.
Yeah.
Right? Eating something.
Yeah.
Sleeping at a certain time for a certain length of time.
Yeah.
Deeply.
Yeah.
And even taking medication for whatever ailments you might have, even if it's just a flu.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know, in my view, it just comes back to hope.
Yeah.
You know, having that reason
to continue
do all of that.
And having the
Carry
will
on.
to
The
say,
will to say,
let me get up and be about my day.
I have to be about my day. You know, I have to get on with my life. I have to live because my life is worth living.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's what I mean. I'm not even talking about the big things. I'm just talking about getting out of bed to have a normal day as a human being.
Yeah.
That's it.
Without having to take on major tasks or do like hectic things.
That is it.
Sure, that's hectic. So you spoke about psychological safety. We hear this, like if you're in corporate, that's something you would have heard a lot. Basically giving people the room to speak and them not feeling like there's judgment linked to what they'll have to say. Them feeling like it is an open space, even though maybe everyone else might not agree. It is an open space to actually engage and feel free to express how they're feeling. I think a lot of corporates are working towards like having this in place, but we're not there yet, right?
Yeah.
The judgment does still exist, or rather the perception that the judgment is there is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I just want to touch on the whole thing we said about the inside voice. Part of it is the system and how things have functioned and what you've seen in that setting. But part of it is also the inside voice.
Yes.
An internal struggle you need to have and having that courage to speak out. I just want to touch on maybe some of the challenges linked to why it's difficult to speak. In a work setting, of course, you're scared. Maybe there's things linked to job security and maybe your workspace is not like people friendly in the sense that they don't have those softer conversations. You don't feel like there's platforms to speak about those things. But then there's also, I would say, like a cultural situation. You spoke about like your conditioning and who you are and what society expects of you, like outside of the workspace. And how that translates into a work setting. I saw this thread on Twitter where this person was speaking about the responsibility linked to being a firstborn daughter. You always have it together. You're expected to have it together for others. And outside of work, you haven't even got into a work situation, but your whole life you've had to be responsible and take charge and get it together basically and call others out or be that shelter for them when they don't have it together.
Solve other people's problems, basically.
So when you are in that situation, like it's very difficult because you're like, how are you not in control when you've had to be that role? You've had to play that role for other people and play that support role. So I also think there is something with culture. I think I listened to a talk where they mentioned that particularly for Black people, like even if it has been acknowledged in your family that you do have an issue that you have, but there's this thing like izinto zomndeni or izinto zabelungu, like mental health issues, like you being a crybaby, like you're stronger than this. We've conquered more as a people, therefore you should have this under control. So even when there's acknowledgement, there isn't a next step to say, okay, what now? We've acknowledged it. Do I need a coach to help me like reestablish my patterns? Counseling, therapy, like we don't, it's not normalized. Now the conversation is like, people are open to it, it's happening, but it's not a thing, right?
Nope, unfortunately not. It's not a thing. And I suppose the challenging thing about it is, many of us are raised by older generations, so to speak, who did not grow up, knowing about these things, feeling comfortable and psychologically safe enough to talk about these things and share these things. And therefore, it's not something they're equipped to handle.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's something that you definitely are likely, are not likely to get at home. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Right. And if that's the case, there are other avenues to get help.
Yeah.
Often, I would say faith and spirituality, not religion, but spirituality, can be a source of hope.
Yeah.
It can be a source for getting answers about why certain things are the way they are.
Yeah.
And through that, one might be able to then get to, places of assistance, whether that's counseling or psychological therapy or, psychotherapy or even medication.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though many people are not
shy away
comfortable
from that.
Exactly, with the idea of medication, but it has its place.
Yeah.
Right? So it's up to you, I think, to firstly, once you've had that conversation with yourself, that internal dialogue that says, hey, something's not right, and I need help. I don't know exactly where and how to get that help, but I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
Talk to your pastor.
Yeah.
Talk to your spiritual leader. Talk to your spiritual mother or father, but talk to someone.
Yeah.
Right? That's the key. You have to be able to
have the conversation.
Say something to someone.
Then you can get the help that you need.
Then those avenues can start to open up to you. And, more often than not, you'll find that you need many different modalities to help you get to a place where you can cope on your own.
Yeah.
Where you can look after yourself. You take full responsibility. You become equipped to take full responsibility for your own well-being.
Yeah.
Not just your mental, but your emotional, your physical,
holistic
well-being. It's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So there are many, many different, modes of healing and support out there. Not just the traditional ones that we were talking about with respect to counseling and psychotherapy, etc. But, the spirituality and all aspects of spirituality,
Yeah.
And that could include, meditation. It would include yoga.
Yeah.
It would include, breath work.
Yeah.
And, from there, you can even go into the more sort of Abrahamic faiths type of things, which is, scripture.
Yeah.
And if you find that scripture speaks to you a certain way and provides you with the answers and clarity that you need to make sense of your life,
then go for it.
By all means.
I just want to touch on the whole faith and spirituality aspect. Maybe I'm coming at it more from a religious aspect, which of course doesn't exist in a bubble. I often find that even in a family setting where we're very faith-based, we are believers, the first thing is, let's pray about it. Yeah. And it's good to pray. I'm not downplaying that. It has its place, but I find that especially in African family settings, that's where it'll stop.
Yeah.
When, like you said, there needs to be a set of different things in place to help you get to a space where you're coping. Yeah. So you can pray about it, seek comfort in scripture, but you do need therapy.
Absolutely.
And you might need your medication.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And that coaching that helps you to get to that space. So
and you need that exercise.
Yes.
You need that nutrition, at least that knowledge or awareness of what
triggers me, what helps me to be in balance.
Good for you.
Yes.
Exactly. What helps you to stay in balance? Because maybe you need less sugar in your life. Maybe you need more spices in your life. Yeah. You know what I mean? That there's all sorts of
range of things. Yeah.
That makes sense for you.
Yeah.
That will not be exactly the same as what makes sense for me.
Yeah.
So we're all individuals. We're all unique in the way that we are built, in our constitution, energetically, not just physically, but energetically as well.
And in the way you respond to the different tools available.
Yes. And the way you respond to energies in life in general.
Yeah.
Right? Because some of us are more sensitive than others.
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you, outright, I'm an empath, which means I'm very sensitive to, I'll call it feelings.
The spirit in the room.
Yes, yeah. To the, you know, the things that are not visible to the naked eye. Very sensitive to those things. So if I walk into a room and, you know, the people in the room have A, been gossiping, or B, you know, they just had an argument, but there's tension in the room, I'll feel it.
Yeah.
I'll sense it. And more often than not, I'll leave that room carrying
that energy with you.
That energy with me, right? It's not my energy. It's just energy.
Yeah.
You know, but because I'm not aware that I'm carrying it with me, it starts to influence my life. It starts to influence my thoughts.
And the energy you're bringing
feelings.
across.
Exactly. And the energy that I pass on to the next person. You know what I mean? So I'm over time, I've become so much more aware of how I manage my energy and how I protect my energy as well.
Yeah.
I'm much more aware of not allowing myself to pick up other people's stuff as if it's my own and, you know, transmit it to other people as well. So I've figured out how to firstly sense that, okay, this is mine, this is not mine. And if it's not mine, process it in a way that I can let it go.
Yeah.
Right? Because the only way I can let it go is by processing it. Acknowledging
you don't have to carry it with you.
Yes.
It's there.
Acknowledge that it's there. Okay. I'm feeling a certain type of way about something. Okay, what could it be about? You know, and you know, it does take a lot of
practice,
investment in practicing using your intuition. Yeah. Using your feelings, learning how to use your gut. Because basically, you know, your feeling center it's kind of it's around your heart center, your gut center, your solar plexus, basically. And that's allowed me to continuously, because it's a full-time job,
it's a journey,
continuously cleanse myself of things that I, you know, may not be good for me. Yeah. You know, and that it's through many things. You know, even just sitting outside in the sun. Yeah. You know, and absorbing. Yes, the sun. Sun is great for killing germs. Yeah. It's a fantastic germ killer, including energetic germs. You know, sit in the sun, you know, for 10 minutes. And
allow yourself to be.
Whatever is not yours, I promise you, it'll leave you. Yeah. It'll leave you.
I like that.
Allow yourself to just, you know, listen to your favorite music. You know, even things like, I don't know, not a grom.
Something peaceful.
Not just peaceful, but something that
uplifting
lifts your mood. Yeah. You know, if that's house music, great. You know, if it's gospel, great. But there's something designed for you. Yeah. Experiment. Yeah. Play with things. Figure it out. Hopefully nothing illegal. But there'll be a combination of things that are fantastic for helping you protect, manage, recharge your energy.
Wow, I like that. So would you say there are any tools available and like services available, and how do we get to a space where we know about these things? Are they publicized enough? Can you share any that come to mind?
Absolutely. With your permission, I would like to talk about one particular tool that I have found, because I'm using it personally myself, is holistic enough to touch on so many different tools and modalities of healing and energy management that I think is a fantastic place for anybody to start. Yeah. It's designed by a business called Secret Entity. I'll call them a business, but they're more like a conscious network, conscious community, you know. Their material and their content is all about energy management. That's why it's called Secret Energy. It's all about that. It goes from helping you figure out your unique configuration
Yeah.
as an energetic being.
Yeah.
Both physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental.
Yeah.
All aspects. And once you identify what type, and there's about 9 types that they talk about, which type you are, then it dives deeper into, what kind of nutrition is good for you.
Yeah.
Based on your type.
What tools will function for
exactly.
you?
What tools will be good for you? From diet to exercise to breathing to spiritual activation to mental clarity, the works, right? So if you go to secretenergy.com and you look for Eneology, Enneaology, Eneaology in particular, take a look at that.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find,
A range of tools.
a whole host of tools, and you can pick and choose what you feel will work best for you.
Cool. So I'll link it down in the description box and we can check it out. But linked to what you just mentioned, do you think there's a need for like an intentionality around managing your mental health?
Absolutely.
Outside of I've had a mental breakdown or I've had like a specific traumatic event or whatever.
Absolutely. If I had my way, my personal vision is to see a world where, big corporate organizations, like the ones we've been discussing, in the workplace, it's standard procedure. When you are onboarded as a member of staff, as part of the human capital that business will need to deliver its best work, to the market, to grow and prosper. You are prioritized
as the being,
the vehicle for that business's growth and prosperity. How? Instead of taking you on management development courses that'll just teach you typical MBA 101 type of content, that has its place. But no one teaches you how to be your best self. Practically. Day to day. How do you become your best self? Because if you are your best self, your business will be its best self.
The outputs speak of it.
So, my vision is for a world where, as a corporate organization, that organization or all organizations would prioritize their people's overall energetic well-being. Not the typical 101 things that I was talking about just now, but your energetic well-being. You get in there, you do some sort of assessment, like the Eneaology I was talking about, that says, okay, Palisa, you're a type 2. Okay, that makes you an altruist. Okay, so if you're an altruist, what combination of diet, exercise, rest, mental activation or stimulation, spiritual activation will help you become
to show up as my best,
your best self? And how does that apply
in a work setting?
In a work setting, not just your life, but in your work setting, in your work itself. How do we make sure that shows up in the best way possible? I promise you, the world will become a
much better
place, a much more conscious place, a place that is in balance, much more in balance in a way that respects nature, respects us as individuals, as human beings, respects all other living beings, and respects the universe in general. That cosmic balance would gradually, naturally find itself, coming into reality.
Cool. So what would you say, I know this is a bit of a difficult one and you've touched on it briefly, but if I'm a person, I am struggling with mental health issues, particularly in a work setting, what can I do to find the voice to speak up? How do I manage that?
Yeah.
Specifically maybe around anxiety and depression, like especially over the past year, like that's all we see on social media. I was asking a friend of mine, like, why is everyone depressed now? Why does everyone suffer from anxiety? But I think people are just getting platform to speak about it.
That's it.
Not that it's new.
That it
and it's aggravated.
Exactly.
It's aggravated because of the pressures that exist. So what can we do?
There's lots you can do. So the first thing I would highly recommend you do is find someone you trust to talk to. In that conversation, as I said earlier, you're likely to find at least solutions or at least options to pursue for solutions. If you can't find someone you trust, then there's likely in that work environment someone who's getting paid to make sure that you are well. And more often than not, those people are your human resources business partners. You know, those people who are paid to make sure that your human resource is at its best. If you can find somebody in human resources to talk to, and even better, you know, some organizations have employee wellness programs, employee assistance programs. And more often than not, those come with anonymous support lines or counseling lines. Find out details. Find those details. Use those details. Call the employee assistance program people and ask for help.
Cool.
And they will surely direct you to you know,
to
where you're likely to get the best help.
So lots of organizations like partner with ICAS. I don't know if ICAS is like an independent thing.
I'm not sure, but I think it is.
Yeah, so they partner with that. You can get maybe some counseling sessions through there, or you can just speak about whatever is bothering you. Of course, those do become available if they affect your work, but it's a service that's there, free of charge, I believe. I have dealt with a situation where I did advise someone to seek that help, but I could sense the hesitation, right? Would you say, particularly as someone who's been in leadership, in a work setting, that there is a taboo around enlisting those kinds of services, and maybe like, are people perceived differently? Like, I know the conversation is confidential, but if your line manager recommended it, they know you went for it. You know what I'm saying? They know the circumstances surrounding that. Would you say at a leadership level, it affects how you're perceived and your career prospects?
No, absolutely not. If anything, it signals that you are taking personal responsibility for your well-being. You know what I mean? And if you are offered that opportunity and you take it, it's a very strong signal that you are serious and committed to being your best self. You know, to getting yourself back into balance so you can perform at your best. So
you were still telling us about how you view it positively if the person is taking responsibility for taking care of themselves, and just an intentionality towards wanting to be their best self.
Absolutely. As I was saying, it's an ongoing thing. You know, it's not a one-time intervention. It's a lifelong thing. So, you know, if you're willing to start somewhere, you know, and equip yourself with firstly the information that you need, and secondly the tools to help you maintain your balance, you know, your well-being. That speaks volumes about how seriously you take your personal wealth. You know, because your well-being is your wealth. Actually, you know, if you're not well, forget about
you can't be
success.
So what would you say, like outside of, because I think, I know I keep referring to this, like particularly in an African setting, you wait until, well, in any setting, I think, you wait until there's like a hectic issue. It's not normal to go for therapy just out of the blue because I want to be better. Unless I've had a specific traumatic experience or something hectic. Like, so what would you say are things that we can do, just even as you're feeling a little bit of pressure, maybe on a specific work project, or just feeling squeezed, even if you're not necessarily struggling with like a mental health issue.
Correct. It's just stress. Yeah. It's general stress management. So as I was saying, you know, make sure that your diet is the best that it can be. You know, it's balanced. You know, the treats are great, but they need to be counterbalanced with nutrition. You know, don't just eat for the sake of eating, but you're eating in order for your body, your physical vehicle, to be properly
fueled.
Yes. Secondly, you're sleeping, because sometimes all it takes is a nap to feel better. Sometimes all it takes so honor your body. You know, if you're feeling you know, take a nap. You know, even if you're
do
at the
things
office.
to re-energize you.
Correct. Go, even if you're at the office, you know, as you're saying, do things to re-energize you. If that means standing up, getting up from your desk, taking a walk down to the coffee shop to get a cup of coffee, so be it. You know, if it means, you know, taking a walk outside in the sun, just so you can recharge and get straight from source. You know, the energy boost straight from source. By all means,
go for
do
it.
that. Just, if you can, minimize the use of energy drinks. Because that's not great for your physical vehicle. Minimize the use of sugar and even caffeine, actually. You know, everything
in moderation.
You know. And if you must rest, as in sleep, do it. Even if you're at work. Go to your car, if you've got a car. Take a nap for half an hour. It will do wonders. I promise you. It'll do wonders. And honor your circadian rhythm. You know, I don't know if you've heard of circadian rhythm. It's basically your wake and sleep cycle, so to speak. You know, some of us are night owls. Right? And unfortunately, the rest of the world isn't.
It's not.
Right? And if the world isn't, you know, aligned with your circadian rhythm, find a way to make it work for you. Right? Because only you know what works best for you. So if you're a night owl, get into the office later. You know, talk to your line manager and make some sort of arrangement that allows you to have a late start in the morning. Exactly. So you can show up as your best self. Show up later in the morning. Leave later in the evening. But that works best for you.
Go for it.
By all means.
Cool. Thank you for joining me and agreeing to have this conversation. I just recalled a conversation that I'd had on my channel before. In terms of what you can do, of course, I'm not discounting the place of therapy and some of the stuff we spoke about, prayer, whatever your spiritual source is, and like some of those kinds of professional tools. But there's this, what is it called? An acronym that I shared about that we make use of at my church called New Start. So your nutrition needs to be intact. You need to exercise. I don't mean go for a hectic training situation, but move your body. You need to take water. You need to be exposed to sunlight. You need to be temperate. You need fresh air. You need rest, the sleep element that we spoke about, and trust in God or whatever your form of faith is. So I think that's a nice summary in terms of some of the generic stuff you can use to help yourself cope. But of course, do seek professional help. I will link some of the tools that we spoke about and any that I find in the description bar below. And thanks for joining us on this conversation, my first collab. Thank you, Gabby, for honoring the invite. Lots and loads of gems as usual. And yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Ciao.